Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone. I am Anis from AD24768. This video representing my article review. Firstly, I will start on the Rfot research framework on template. The chosen article is entitled Teachers' Perceptions of Using Virtual Reality Technology in Classrooms, a large-scale survey. According to the theory in this research, additionally, teachers' perceptions of instructional technologies determine how effectively these technologies are incorporated into instruction. This claim goes along with the diffusion of innovation theory, which contends that people's attitudes toward technology are essential for its diffusion. Likewise, elucidates the necessary factors impacting the likelihood of technology integration. These factors include perceptions of students and teaching staff, institutional support, integration barriers, rationale for integration, prior technology experience. All this implies that the attitudes of end users are essential to explore during the early phase of VR technology integration. This study was driven by this urgent necessity in the context of education in Russia. There are three research gaps in this article. Firstly, another barrier to the VR implementation in the curriculum is lack of teacher training. This issue is often linked with inadequate time to learn how to use the equipment, but also the necessity to adjust the traditional curriculum to fit the use of the new medium. Two types of barriers to technology integration, which are external and internal. External barriers encompass lack of teachers' proper resources, lack of ICT support, and limited technology training. Internal barriers derive from teachers' attitudes and their unwillingness to learn, adapt, and integrate technology, as well as lack of knowledge and skills. And lastly, these barriers can cause difference between teachers' perceptions and their regular classroom technology practice. Bush and Muhammad show that as new technology becomes available, there will always be new and modified ways of learning and teaching, which in itself creates a new kind of digital gap in the education system because of the complexity of continuously having to stay up to date with technology. There are several issues and problems that have been discussed in the research, which are some VR-based research provided mixed or even negative evidence of VR for learning outcomes. High immersion and the sense of presence come at the expense of being less able to focus on the learning aspect of instruction. Evidence of VR have a negative impact on learning has been shown in a variety of subjects, including STEM, history, and language learning. Third, students using desktop-based learning environments had higher learning gains compared to students who used high-immersion VR. As an example of such a study, Pepin and Kaplan found that students learning vocabulary with a VR headset had significantly lower scores compared to the subjects who used less immersive desktop version of VR. Overall, the case of VR being more effective for learning and for whom is not yet compelling. Despite the growing popularity and acceptance of VR, some reservations exist regarding its full acceptance in curriculum. Some obstacles include VR equipment costs, reports of cyber sickness, and overheating when used for extended time. The integration of technology in education highly depends on teachers' attitude and support. Likewise, teachers' perceptions play a role in the way technology can be adopted and diffused. Technology integration creates new prerequisites for the teaching profession that the individual teacher needs to relate to and cope with. A high percentage of teachers do not know how to integrate educational technology into their classes, which can become an obstacle in the meaningful modification of the curriculum. Process of the digital transformation in Russia have positive and negative trends. There are four research objectives in the research. Firstly, to investigate the teachers' perceptions of the use of VR technology in the classroom. Second, to examine the relationship between teachers' VR integration level and their instructional approaches. Then, to identify the relationship between teachers' VR integration level and the frequency of VR use. And lastly, to identify the relationship between the availability of IT personnel and the frequency of VR use. For the instrument, all these questions use survey method, which is questionnaire to answer this all these questions. For data analysis, descriptive statistics, including mean, standard deviation, and frequency, was used to analyze the data collected for the research question 1, while for research question 2, 3, and 4 were answered based on spearmint correlation analysis. For such design, quantitative research was applied by the researcher to conduct this study. And for the sampling frame or technique that was used in this study is the entire population of Asian teachers is approximately 319,000. The sample is a total of 20,876 Asian educators have participated in the study. For the contribution of knowledge, in general, the Asian educators had moderately positive perceptions of VR use in teaching and learning. For example, the participants believe that VR is effective for students of all abilities. It improves students' learning of critical concepts and ideas, and it motivates students to get more involved in learning activities. This finding is in line with previous studies. In terms of instructional approaches, it was interesting that most participants preferred to keep balance between student-centered and teacher-centered approaches in their teaching. Next, I will discuss my personal opinion or viewpoint for the whole article. In my opinion, the researcher has listed and clearly discussed the research problem that allows the reader to quickly understand the purpose and intent of the research. All research questions have been stated clearly based on the nature and extent of information available. The researcher has utilized an appropriate research instrument, which is survey questionnaire, because this study involved the collection and analysis of numerical data. Quantitative research. Quantitative data usually analyzed through descriptive statistics, which the researcher has used a proper data analysis method. Descriptive statistics is effective and appropriate to interpret any quantitative data into more understandable and clearer information. So now, I will critique some elements that the researcher did not put in the study, which are non-conceptual framework described. The researcher should describe the conceptual framework because it illustrates what you expect to find through the research. It defines the relevant variables for your study and maps out how they might relate to each other. Second, no literature review. The researcher should put the literature review for the reader to gain an understanding of the existing research and debates relevant to a particular topic or area of study. Lastly is the recommendations of the research that can be improved. First, follow-up studies should include analysis drawn from narrow samples of respondents, for instance, from teachers of specific subjects like mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, arts, and other more. Further analysis could consider responses of teachers with various experience levels and ages to depict how particular subsamples view VR for education.